At this ramshackle group of huts and vans on the Coorong, known as Rumbelow's hut, there is one fisherman who isn't on the water. He's fished this area for 40 years and has seen these winds roar in and then blow themselves out at night. He will wait until morning to check his catch. His name is Lester Rumbelow, and he was working the Coorong and the lakes before the barrages were built.
It has changed the Coorong a lot. And see, the fresh water used to push when there was a lot of water come down the river. There's a lot of fish in the lake. Well, a lot of that used to turn the fish on this channel into the Coorong. Well, see, we don't get that nowadays. We only get what comes straight in here and back. Like some years you got the fish would be thick in here, other years a bit slack. But what made a big difference was when they opened the gates. See, that lets a lot of feed out, and of course that attracts the fish around the mouth. When they close the gates, well, they come in here looking for that little bony brim and stuff that's been going out to sea.
You were here before the barrages were built?
Yeah, I fished in the lake before the barrages were built for 6 years. But then them old butterfish used to go up in the lakes by the tons and tons of them.
With the building of the barrages, some fish like the big jumping mullet are gone, but there are now more brim. In those early days, the fishermen rowed boats and the nets were much different.
Hemp was for mulloway, cotton was for mullet. But in those days in the Coorong here, the crabs was that bad, you couldn't have a light net to touch the bottom, otherwise they used to eat all the webbing.
Any fish caught were taken to Meningie railway station and packed in ice for the trip to Adelaide. But the old nets were a lot of work. They would rot in water and needed a lot of tanning.
Well, you'd have a 100-gallon tub, like a little tank, and put in wattle bark. You used to have to buy this crushed wattle bark, or some used to go and strip the trees themselves, you know, and chop it into little pieces and put it in there, and then you'd have to boil it. And in there with the crabs, well, every time you boil it for about half an hour, well, then you'd have to top the thing up, and we used to put tar in to try and stop the crabs from eating the nets, and you'd finish up a nice mess by night time. You know, you'd have tarry hands and all this stain of the wattle bark in your thing there. By the time you got your hands and that nice and clean again, it's time to do it all over again.
At dawn, the wind has died and it's time to check the nets. In some years, Lester has netted fish by the ton. In other years, nothing. It's a matter of following the seasons and trying to learn from them. Lester says that Mother Nature is still teaching him new things each year. Once at the nets, it's a matter of lifting them to remove any fish. There are fewer fish than expected, and it's hard work, but it does have its compensations, because after 40 years, Lester still finds the Coorong a place of beauty.
Oh, I like to see these birds, like, you have the ducks, they come right in this bay and feed at times, you know, and they get that used to you, and I think, you know, you like to see them there, and they get used to you, but you only have to have a stranger come in and they're gone.
The time you spent here, would you say that being a fisherman's an easy life?
Sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's really hard. You know, I've seen the times there when you've really been flat out, you know, to get in and or to get out, you know, when the wind blows and all that. But I suppose life brought up with, and something you like, and there's always that gamble. I think that's sort of a challenge, you know, you sort of look forward to. And you know, one thing I've done, now this will be 55 years I've been fishing, and I've never sat by a man with caught fish. I've always worked it to catch my own, you know, you sort of, well, if it's just good enough to go and find somebody good enough to have them for mine, but...
Most of the old fishermen along the Coorong have moved on or retired, and Lester Rumbelow is about the last of the old-timers. Yet after 40 years of fishing and living in his sparse hut, he says it's not a lonely life, more one of changing times.
I don't like noise, and I don't like, you know, crowd around you. When we first come down here, we had the old hut here, well, we never even had a lock on the door. You'd go away and leave anything. See, the people have changed with the times, just the same as the fishing is.